has never been officially diagnosed because he's older now, and I wish I had known what y'all are learning now when he was younger, because I could have helped him so much better. All right, what is dyslexia? You'll read the definitions and they say it's a language-based learning difference. It's a difference in the way the brain processes information. It is not a difficulty with vision, so typically vision therapy does not help a whole lot. Vision therapy can be good for difficulties with your eyes, but that is not where the difficulty lies with dyslexia. So there are 4 components of language. There's listening, there's speaking, there's reading, and there's writing. So dyslexia affects the way your child hears language, the way your child speaks, the way your child reads, and the way that your child writes. It has far-reaching implications. So, in a very young child, they may talk later than most other children. They may have difficulty pronouncing words. You know, we all see those funny ones like Busgetti or, you know, lawnmower from lawnmower. They may be unable to recall the right word. That one persists. That one lasts pretty much your whole life as a dyslexic. They have difficulty with rhyming. They have difficulty learning the alphabet, the numbers, the days of the week, the months of the year. You notice all those things are sequential. So they have difficulty with that. And they may have difficulty following multi-step directions. Never use that as your sole diagnosis of dyslexia, because I've never met a child or an adult who did not have difficulty following multi-step directions. All right, so then they get to school age. What does it look like with reading? They're slow to learn the connection between letters and sounds. They have difficulty reading words in isolation. If you just show them a single word, they have a lot of problems with that. They may confuse small words like at, they may say to. Said and I see that all the time, kids confusing said and does and goes. They make consistent reading and spelling errors. Okay, so we all know this one. The B and the D.
Yes.
Reversals, a small number of reversals are normal in kindergartners and first graders. They need to drop out. And so you're really looking at the number of reversals you're seeing as well as if they persist past first grade. But B and D is a very common reversal. Another one I see a fair amount is P and Q. They also like to reverse words, which is called mirror writing. And this is probably the one we see the most. Was and saw.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the word, and I mean, last week I was tutoring a child and I asked her to write a little word on our chalkboard, and it was beautifully done. She's saying the letters in the right order, but it's total mirror writing, okay? So your child is not being bad when they do that, it's just the way their brain is working. Okay, inversions. These are less common, but you do see them, M and W. If you flip them over, they're the same, N and U. And this one I'm starting to see more. This is odd to me that I've been tutoring for 10 years, and some of these I see a lot in 1 year, and some I'll go several years without seeing. But right now, I'm seeing a lot of this one, that inversion. Then words like, you see this more with older kids, they reverse one letter. So the word is felt, and they write this. They just flip-flop that F and the L. Okay, you'll see that a fair amount. And then sometimes when they're reading, they confuse words like house and home, or just words that are similar, but they're not quite right. They read slower, and if your child is dyslexic, they're going to read slower their whole life. Okay. In math, they transpose numbers. 25 becomes 52. They confuse arithmetic signs. In their little minds, the plus and the minus look the same. They have trouble learning and remembering math facts. They have trouble learning to tell time, and of course they have trouble with word problems. That's why I'm a little reluctant when a child has pretty significant dyslexia to say they also have dyscalculia, which is a math difficulty, because a lot of times these kids are actually very good with the math concepts. It's the dyslexia that's interfering with these aspects that makes it look like, oh, they have problems with math. I like to, with those, to address more of the dyslexia components, and usually that straightens out the problem, more than a true dyscalculia where they don't really understand numbers. Writing, this is probably one of the most common things I see when parents come to me with children who are older. They'll bring me a sample of their writing and they'll go, they spelled there 4 different ways on this same page. Or they spelled the word soldier, that's a really hard word to spell, and they spell it a lot at Intown. Soldier, and it's spelled 5 different ways on this page. That's just the dyslexia. And they have difficulty organizing writing, and this is something that we all need to work on with dyslexics, is teaching them that systematic way of how to write, how to go from a sentence to a paragraph to an essay. Okay, dyslexia is lifelong. It can be remediated, but it cannot be cured. Even your adult dyslexics are going to show some signs of it. Dyslexia is hereditary. If you are a parent with dyslexia, your sons have a 75% chance of being dyslexic. Your daughters have a 25%. They don't quite know why there's that gender difference. Dyslexia ranges from mild to profound, and it looks different in different people. That makes it very confusing. It often occurs with other learning differences. You'll hear this term or see the term comorbidity. That just means it occurs with other ones. By far the most common one it occurs with is ADHD. But you also see it with dysgraphia, and you also see it with slow processing. Now, sometimes people will say dyslexia is a language processing disorder. It is a language processing, but it doesn't mean they're also a slow processor. A slow processor means everything moves very slowly through their brain. Okay, so you've got this diagnosis. If you went and got a diagnosis of strep throat, they'd give you an antibiotic and everything would be hunky-dory. You get a diagnosis of dyslexia, you're not going to get a magic pill. You're not going to get a magic therapy. They're going to tell you the treatment is educational. And it's currently the best treatment available is the Orton-Gillingham approach. And early intervention is best. Y'all are already true believers. I don't have to give my whole speech on why it's better to do intervention early rather than later. I will tell you, remediation is, you're looking at 2 years. At least.
Thank you, at least.
At least 2 years. I mean, much more often it's 3 or 4. I have parents, and in fact, a parent emailed me yesterday. She said in her email, I want just some techniques and strategies that'll fix this. You're not getting that. There's just no way. So, you're in for the long haul, but if you can just be patient and go with the flow on this one. I have seen children who are profoundly dyslexic make huge strides and do really, really well down the road. Okay, so don't get discouraged. There is hope. Yes.
We just got my daughter's COGAD scores, and she was tutored for 3 years, starting in kindergarten with Miss Beth, and then she went to Skank for 3 years, and now she's back at Intown. For her writing comprehension, she's 13.5 grade level. So we were like, whoa! So it's a slog. There's no doubt about it, but we're on the other side, and it's just like, wow. So,
and
just to encourage.
Yeah. Well, Albert Einstein was dyslexic, so.
I mean, on the other side, you see such great things, and these kids often have wonderful study skills and wonderful approaches to learning that they'll truly be lifelong learners because they have learned how to learn early on. So there are some good things.
Just a question, when you say early on, because my son was just diagnosed and he's now in 5th grade, so we're just starting the process, and I know a lot of children are diagnosed around 1st grade.
Mhm.
So is this, I just feel like we're kinda late, you know, cause no one really detected anything, he kinda just coped and did well, he still makes great grades, but,
You start to see some little,
oh yeah.
yeah, and that generally is a sign of a mild dyslexic who's very bright. And so, that's a good thing, okay? And, so, we, definitely, you can start in 5th grade. Yes, you can definitely start in 5th grade. You can start with adults, there are plenty of dyslexic.
Yeah.
The earlier ones, really, it's more for their self-esteem because they don't struggle. It doesn't sound like he's struggled a whole lot academically yet. And so it hasn't had a huge impact on his self-esteem. Whereas these kids with moderate to severe dyslexic, they are struggling by kindergarten. And so if they struggle for 4 or 5 years before they get help, their self-esteem is taken